Hard Hat's all about showing up to play hard, doing what it takes to win.
If you want to cement legacy, win another.
He's your third center.
You don't want to puff him up too much, but it's hard not to.
This is maybe the most I've ever agreed with you.
Offense, it seemed like there was a lot of trying to attack the
Joe Mazzulla at the podium, guys. We're going to start here.
turnovers there. Did you like the way the guys were attacking, or do you think there maybe should have been focusing more on another aspect?
I mean, I thought, like I said, I think Miami played really well defensively. I thought there were moments, where we executed well offensively, and then moments where, we just didn't make the best possible read. We got to make better reads.
Joe, they obviously shot very well from three. You mentioned that they were great on the dribble drives. Was this a night where you felt that you guys should have done more to close out? Was this a matter of your guys' game plan? They hit tough shots that you were more okay with giving up. Like, what do you think led to that efficiency?
I think they just played better than us tonight.
And then early in the game, obviously, you were running a lot of Luke Cornett pick and roll with Tatum, with Derek. What have you seen from him in terms of his individual improvements from last year, this year, to be able to be such a staple of that action that's been so efficient? Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's really great at just screening versus different coverages. So he's seeing different matchups this year. They started the game out in one coverage, moved to a different one, but he just does a great job creating advantages. Just kind of goes into who he is. He's a selfless player, looking to get guys open. But he can do that, and read it in real time what the coverage is and set the best screen to kind of get the guys free and create indecision. So, he takes a lot of pride in that.
Is that something he specifically worked on this summer? Is that something you guys asked him to work on? Or?
No. He's worked. He was good at it. I think he's gotten elite at it now, in my opinion. So, it's something that he always works on, takes pride in those little things. And, I think his physicality too, like when he's really physical, we're a different team, and, he's especially finishing at the rim and protecting the rim at the other side.
Joe, you guys went without the center before the second half, and then opened the second half with Torrey over Luke. What were you looking for there, and what led you to that decision?
Just playing with a little bit of speed. I thought we ended the first half well with that, and Luke had 3 fouls, so wanted to preserve some of that, especially going up and then start the quarter. So continuing to find different ways to impact the game.
And going to those smaller looks, you guys haven't done that a ton this year. You've talked about having everything kind of in your arsenal there. What can that allow you guys to do when you do go smaller like that?
Just depends on what the game is. I mean, we were able to open up the game a little bit against Portland, and just kind of depends on what the matchup is, what the how we can create different advantages, whether use our speed, use our versatility, kind of create pressure and stuff like that. So it just really depends, but. We were able to do some good things tonight, but like I said, I thought Miami played very well.
Joe, what did you see out of Jaylen tonight?
I thought it was good. I mean, I think getting his feet under him, like the way he got to his spots. I like the way he competed defensively. To me, he just continued to look a little, better and better each night, much more comfortable out there. So that was a positive for us and good to see. And he's got to continue to get that. So I liked what he did tonight.
How will you kind of manage his minutes over the last 6 games?
Yeah, I mean, it's both, right? I mean, you want him to continue to get in form, continue to work, and at the same time find that balance to make sure he's ready to go. So I trust him the way he prepares himself. So whatever he thinks is best, we'll do.
Joe, this loss literally does not hurt you guys at all in standings wise and all of that stuff, right? So in some sense, at least from the outside, it's meaningless. But you take meaning from everything.
Yeah.
What do you take from this, especially when everybody probably
I love this loss.
Probably thinking okay, whatever.
No. I mean, we're all pissed. I mean, we all hate losing, and that was my.
There we go.
That was my message. Was a good reminder that losing still sucks. So I love the fact that the staff's miserable. Guys are pissed. No, I'm not happy about it, but we got to come back and do it again the next day. And I think it's great. Like you said, at the end of the day. It doesn't have much of an impact, but, it still sucks, and we're all miserable right now. So, we'll get back after it the next day. Thanks.
There it is. A sobering loss for Joe Mazzulla and the Boston Celtics, riding high on a 9-game win streak. 9-8, what was it? 9, right?
It was 9.
9. And that's it. That was Joe at the podium. We'll get more post-game reaction coming up a little later in the show. Bobby Manning. Noa Dalzell will join us from the Garden as the Celtics lose 56-20 to the Miami Heat. There's Bobby Manning.
Whoa.
A little zip by. Jimmy and
There
I
he
are
goes.
here, and we're going to talk about the game.
Yeah, awesome. Lucky us.
I should run a poll. What do you guys want? You want me to freak out? You want me to be level-headed? What is the game? I want to give the game what it needs. What do you guys need me to be tonight? Tell me, and I'll try to do that for you as we kind of go through an annoying game.
Oh, there will be blame pie.
A game that if we overreact to, they'll make us eat it, next game. So I'm just not going to overreact, but I'm still going to tell you what I hated, and I hate it a lot. And we're going to get, obviously Jimmy's take. We'll hear from locker room a little bit more sound. But before we get really cooking, want to tell you a couple of things to get us started. Of course, this episode brought to you by Prize Picks, largest daily fantasy sports platform in all of North America. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code CLNS. Get 50 instantly when you play 5. That's code CLNS on Prize Picks. 50 instantly when you play 5. Prize Picks, baby. Run your game. There's always Game Time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create code CLNS, $20 off your first purchase. Get into any game or concert or whatever it is. Icecapades. I don't know if they still do that. Disney on Ice. It's all good. What time is it, Jimmy? It is game time.
It's game time. I got my game time. Like I'm watching a game. I'm watching like a ticket right now.
Yeah. It is
a marathon
also
Monday.
It is also bracket time. Bracket time, my friends. That's a good time to be here and check it out. We are in the
You're
final...
muted.
Yep.
I knew it. I knew You're Muted was going to make a run out of the 4 seed. It took down Toothpaste Sandwich that won.
You're
no
muted.
1 seeds left, John.
Right?
No 1s or 2s.
I know. Unlike SCs, we don't allow NIL in this bracket, and that's why some of the underdogs can get through.
This is real madness.
I also
right
thought
here.
there was more parity here. The 1 seeds were soft, and we knew that coming in. You're muted, taking on the Tatum Lullaby right here. We can vote on it.
I thought Vegan Brownies was a solid.
Solid. I thought so too. We put it in our open, so I thought highly of it for sure.
Damn it, Amit's a good one. That one said a lot. You're Muted is said every show, and I'm sure it will be said at some point tonight. Tatum Lullaby. People like the lullaby. I'll say this. I think the lullaby may have gotten back to Jason Tatum. His press conferences have generally been better, I would say. They're not certainly not like cliffhangers, or they're not going to keep you at the edge of your seat, but they're better than lullaby status recently. So that's that.
What the? I'm not mad. I'm disappointed. Take.
That's probably where we're at.
I got that in my game. We're waiting for Sherrod to get framed up, and he'll join us in just a minute here as well from home. Yeah. And we're going to get in here with all of this stuff, but we'll take the bracket off the board. We'll go back to me and the Jimmy cam, and we'll bring in Sherrod Blakely because we love ourselves some Sherrod Blakely as well.
Yeah.
I don't think I should start it.
Sherrod, you haven't missed anything. We haven't even given a single opinion on this game yet.
There hasn't been a Jaylen Brown reference yet?
Not even. We listened to Joe Mazzulla for a bit, and John went through the ads, and then we went through the bracket, and then the perfect timing by you.
Damn it, Ahmed is my pick.
Damn it, Ahmed is. I'll be honest. I'm torn between Damn it, Ahmed, and You're Muted right now. I'm torn between those two, but I think Damn it, Ahmed. Naturally, I kind of have to go with that one, right?
Of course,
I did coin it.
This was a weird game. Like I'm numb to this kind of game because it literally in the grand scheme of things means nothing to the goal, which is to win a championship. I thought Jaylen Brown had what I would call empty calorie numbers. I didn't think he was very explosive. I didn't think he was very impactful. Same thing with Tatum. I didn't think Tatum was very good. No one on this team really played, I thought, well, except for Luke Cornett. That was the one guy I liked what I saw to him. In Miami, yeah, they haven't scored this many points against the Celtics. You got to go back to when LeBron was balling for them the last time they put up these kind of numbers against the Celtics. So it really did feel like this was one of those anomaly type of games where the Celtics didn't play great, Miami played great, and at the end of the day, once you get it through the rinse and the wash, you realize this isn't going to mean anything. Miami is still going to be in a play-in situation. The Celtics are going to have the number 2 seed. and the postseason is going to be what it is.
We got heat culture in the house. Enjoy this one. This is the biggest win you're gonna have the rest of the way, buddy.
He's pizza. He's a pizza lover. He's just like us.
I love the Heat. I do. I really do. I respect the hell out of him. I really do. But like, let's.
They're just not very good.
Let's be serious. Let's grow up a little bit. This isn't going to happen for you. But good one. I like this. I like that they've been playing better without Jimmy. I like that they've been, tougher. And it's a tough out. They played harder. You could see it. This was a game where the Celtics wanted to show up and win, and the Heat came to play. Were more physical. Things were hard. You could see it. Tatum couldn't get where he wanted to go. And look, you want to play the ref game. Oh, the refs let him get away with stuff. They did, but not enough. To make a difference there. It was just harder sailing. It was harder sailing here for the Celtics, and they didn't kind of want to fight. It was one of those games where like let's hope the threes are better. Let's hope the threes fall, and if they do, we'll be in the game, and if they don't, we'll just have to live with not being in there. So that's what happened. Just they didn't want to play. They didn't want to fight as hard as the Heat did.
So
this is a second straight game where like we'll get into Brown for sure. It's a second straight game where Tatum's just jacking threes that aren't good shots and they're not in the flow. There was just too much of that tonight. What's funny is they couldn't even get their shots off. They didn't attempt that many threes. So they were really forcing them. Like Miami wasn't giving them what they wanted there. They just weren't prepared to work for it. They didn't go to the hole enough. Brown's not able to get to where he wants to go. Tatum was not able to get where he wanted to go tonight. They really struggled. The Heat were just tougher.
And that's really, I mean, when you look at this stretch that they've been on, that's atypical of what we've seen from them. No one really seemed to play with that fire, that focus, that energy that we've seen these last 7-8 games. And this is what happens. I don't care whether you're home or away. You're going to get your ass kicked when you don't show up, particularly against a team like Miami, where more nights than not, they're going to give great effort. They're not very talented as a team. They got a lot of weaknesses on that roster, up and down that roster. But when you play hard, you're going to have nights like this where you're going to beat a better team simply because you just played harder.
Jimmy?
Yeah, so I'm not concerned about like the loss itself. Like I'm not concerned about the Heat. Sorry, shout out to the one Heat fan that somehow found our show. But
try to get to games on time. Okay. You found the show. That's good. Next time, see if you can find your seat in the first quarter. Right. Yeah.
Or at all. The stadium's half full now. What I am my antennas are up now because it's happened too much, but it's the home losses. It could have been against any team. And it's the fact that, this Celtics team, they can go on the road and dominate for whatever it is, 10 days, 6 games, play like the best basketball of the season. I thought they had one of their best all-around games Monday night in Memphis. And then come back to Boston, where it sounds funny to say, but come back to Boston where they've struggled all year and put together that effort and that performance. I don't really know. I can't really tell you why it's happening other than the fact, like, do these guys just like come back home and then like what, like life gets in the way and like they got to do a bunch of errands and chores and like, are they just distracted by like everyday life and being around friends and family and kids and everything that they can't focus on basketball? Do they need to like stay in a hotel?
Tatum hates Deuce on the bracket next year.
Yeah, there it is. Put it there. No, I think he doesn't. That's the problem. I think if he did, then it would be all about the game. But I think these guys
let's not encourage father-son
hatred too much.
Let's
Jesus, Jimmy.
They're too good at guys. They're too good at guys. They care about their family and friends too much. And I'm just wondering if maybe there's just too much going on. I need to get all these guys in a hotel. I don't care if it's the Ritz, it's the Four Seasons. I don't care if it's
they're scared. You're gonna drive them out of here. You're gonna drive Jaylen out of town, Jimmy.
I don't care if it's a Holiday Inn in Waltham. I don't care where the hell it is. These guys need to stay together and focus on the game. Now, when the playoffs come around, hopefully that's not an issue. I understand this is like a scheduled loss, right? First game back from the trip against a team that they're not really concerned about. But man, the home losses are just, I can't wrap my head around why it's happening so much this season. It's
the same team. Comfortable at home. They just look as if they expect that a flip will switch and they'll just pull away because they're at home. And that's not how that's not how it works. When they're on the road, you're right, Jimmy. I mean, they play with a tremendously different level of force at both ends of the floor. And there's no rhyme or reason other than that they just maybe get too comfortable in front of their fans and just think that alone is going to carry them to victory, which it never does. You still got to make plays. You still got to defend. You still got to close out. You got to do all those things that you did when you've got a arena full of folks that hate your guts. You got to do that when you got folks cheering you on. And they have not been very good at that this year. But the thing about it, Jimmy, though, is if they do drop one at home, this team knows damn well they can beat any team anywhere, anytime. And I almost feel like that is like a default in the back of their minds that, yeah, we can drop a game or two at home because we know we can win a game or two on the road. And to me, it's just you're playing Russian roulette with your season when you think like that. And I have this weird feeling that in the back of their minds, that's part of the thinking process that when they lose a game at home and thinking, well, we'll just get it back on the road.
And it's great that they can, but you're going to be a 2 seed, so you're going to have home court advantage for the first 2 rounds, assuming they're going to win those first 2 rounds. They're going to have home court advantage. You don't want to drop one in the first 2 and just give that advantage right back because the playoffs are a different beast, and everyone's ready to play in the playoffs. And listen, I'm not worried about the first round, whoever that is, but you come to the second round, if you don't show up and you don't play with effort and you don't actually protect your home court, you don't want to be put in a position where you have to win, game 5 or whatever, right? Because you screwed off in the first couple of games or whatever it is. So it's just something to think about. I'm not like
that's how they lost to the Heat a couple of years ago.
Exactly.
They screwed off in the first couple of games.
Right. And so if there's one thing you can criticize this team for this year, it's probably that, not protecting the home court, not showing up at home in front of the Boston fans. This team does thrive, and they always have, led by Tatum and Brown. They thrive off the doubters. They thrive off the negativity. They like going into enemy territory. That's great. I love that about them too. I love that mentality. But you still have to show up when you've got the support behind you too. Like, that's part of it. I mean, the talent is so one-sided between the Celtics and the Heat that it's actually kind of an embarrassment to lose the way they did tonight. There's really no excuse to lose like that. I don't care that Spoelstra is arguably one of the best coaches over the last 20 years, and he probably is the best coach over the last 20 years in the NBA. But all that being said, the NBA is all about talent, and the Celtics have shown us and shown everybody that when it comes to talent, on paper, on the court, whatever it is, there's not many teams, if any, that can match up to them talent-wise. Certainly not in the East. And I know I might be disrespecting the Cavaliers a little bit, but I'll still take the Celtics talent over the Cavs talent any day of the week.
Yeah, well, the Celtics have talent that is proven to get it done when it matters most in the playoffs. And the Cavs are still untested in that regard. We've seen this core group that they have in the playoffs last year. And granted, they're missing, obviously, key player at various stretches. But at the end of the day, it's not like the Celtics haven't won at a high level without key guys. I mean, Kristaps Porzingis, hello, they pretty much won a damn title last year without him, not needing him to be a big deal for them. And the games that he did play, he did well, but they won pretty much without him. So that, to me, that's why if you're the Celtics and if you're a fan of the Celtics, you hate the fact that you lost this game, but at the same time, you realize at the grand scheme of things, you're trying to win a championship. And
I love it.
This doesn't deter you from doing that.
One Heat troll in the chat and people are coming to pieces here. I love it. They're tearing each other apart in here.
Guys, we have to stick together.
Guys, come on.
You can't let one guy infiltrate.
Don't forget about Ubuntu.
Pizza lover is living rent free in your heads, guys. Just
if you're gonna let one Heat fan do this to us now, what's gonna happen in the playoffs? Like, come on, get it together.
Is punking you guys. He's taking your lunch right now. Look, of the issues here, I can rant about an annoying Tatum game because it was an annoying Tatum game. Tatum has been playing some of his best overall basketball. His 3-point shooting has been dog shit. Last month, 31%. He was 35 the month before, but the month before that, all of January, 31% also. It's not just the misses. I've been saying, I've been saying this for how long now? If Tatum just cuts He's so close, Jimmy. My vision of the perfect Tatum is close. He just won't allow himself to get there. He's almost there. He's just got to cut 2 to 3 shots out per game, and they're all bad threes or bad pull-up threes. And just cut those out and swing the ball and move without the ball. And you've reached basketball perfection. All of a sudden, you're peak LeBron. Like, just do it. It's right there for you. It's I don't get
even LeBron takes bad
I
shots.
know. It's not even that. I more mean embrace the 25, 10, and 8. Embrace it. Let that be you. Let it flow through you. Enough of this. Just stop. Like, do the good stuff. Abandon that. Because when he's not going and when he gets frustrated, when he tries to get to the basket, and he can't, he defaults to, let me just jack a bunch of pull-up threes and hope they start going. And that's just not working for it. Do the other stuff. Don't worry about scoring. Move the ball better, and it wasn't a bad game. He did move the ball some, but the forced shots drive me nuts. He's not shooting it well because of shot selection, and that's mainly it. It's just, he needs a diet just to remove a few of these per game. You can live with a 2 of 7 game, a 2 of 6 game, the 2 of 9s, 1 of 10s. I feel like every time you look at the box score, that's what he's doing from 3. Just too many of them, too many bad ones. So it's frustrating, but I also don't think that dooms them here. It's just annoying. What I do wonder is what the chat thinks about what's going on with Jaylen. People seem to see different things here, and I can't quite figure out what it is. Sherrod called it empty calories. This final stat line, Jaylen has a lot of these games where the final stat line is like, oh, I thought he sucked all game, but this doesn't look so bad. And it doesn't. So statistically, everyone can argue that, what are you talking about? This is good. That's not it. How does he look to you? Because everyone's seeing something different right now.
He doesn't look as explosive. That, to me, that was the one thing that jumped out more than anything else. We're used to seeing Jaylen consistently being able to get past guys, break them down, or play bully ball, and we really didn't see much of that in this game. And I don't know whether it's him dealing with some of the injuries that have been nagging him all season long, or whether he's just physically fatigued, or you just had a bad game. But the numbers don't reflect how he played in this game. He was not as good as his numbers were. And I think often with Jaylen, it's the opposite of that his numbers don't reflect how well he plays. But that wasn't the case in this game.
Yeah, I mean, how much of it is the knee still? I mean, it looks like he's favoring it a little bit still.
He just didn't seem to attack and be as aggressive as we're used to seeing him off the dribble. I thought he settled way more, and he was fortunate that he was playing a Miami Heat team that doesn't really, I think, defend the way typical Miami Heat teams do. He made the most of that. He made some shots that with little to no, resistance, when in fact he could have easily, I thought, if he were in typical Jaylen mode, finished more at the rim, beat guys off the dribble, find somebody to dunk on. I mean, Jaylen is like the master of the body bag. He's carrying bodies out of the arena every night, damn near, because he's dunking on them, giving them major facials and posters and things like that. There just never seemed to be a point where you felt Jaylen's athleticism was present tonight. And that's not his game. He has to do it. That's what makes him special.
Yeah, I would agree. Maybe a little laxical, daisical.
Yeah.
Shout out to the bracket. Yeah, I'm gonna lay off on Jaylen just a little bit, Sherrod, only because I do still wonder about that knee. And to the commenter's point, yes, he looked better than he did against the Spurs. He looked god awful against the Spurs. So there was really only room to go.
There wasn't a lot of, I was going to say, there wasn't a lot of room for him to get worse. So.
Right, exactly. So sure, in that sense. And I think it'll be interesting to see if he's available Friday, because, how does the knee respond to, playing tonight, even though he didn't look like he was going 100%, is the knee going to be able to, or is Jaylen going to be able to recover from, the 29 minutes tonight? Any sort of pain that he's got? Is it a pain tolerance thing? Is it something that can get worse? Or is it something that's just got to take more time to heal? So I'm going to give him a little bit of a break. Yeah, 24, 10 of 20 from the field. I thought in the third quarter, obviously he was a part of that comeback that they went on. So I thought that we saw a little flash there, couple big shots from him. But to your point, Sherrod, the consistency, from start to finish wasn't there for him and really anybody. And you were kind of looking, one of those guys sort of needed to put the team on their back tonight, and neither one could do so, even though Brown, 24 points isn't nothing to slouch at, but it was just the way he went about it that, wasn't really, the Celtics were so damn bad in that first half. Really couldn't hit anything. And then came out in the second half, and what they do in the second half there that had Bobby jumping off a cliff. They had Luke coming off the bench in the second half. They went small with Craig. It didn't work. Put Luke in, and then I don't know if that was the reason, but they put Luke in, and the Celtics did go on a run around the same time. But that was right around the time where Jaylen got it going a little bit too. So don't know why, just like you guys, I can't put a finger on why the performance was as subpar, below average as it was. But for me, it's just seeing Jaylen Brown back on the court. I don't want to see him limping around. I don't want to see him favoring that knee. And I want to see him out there again Friday, even if the games don't matter, and they don't, right? I mean, you got Phoenix coming in Friday, no Durant. I just want to see that he can go, because this is the play, day off, play. This is how this playoff schedule is going to go, right? You're going to get a day off in between games. So how does he kind of respond to one day off is what I'm going to be looking for.
Yeah. I don't like it. It's off. It's off. I can't place it. It's off. It's not the same. It's hard to see it unless you literally compare it side by side to what like the healthiest version of Jaylen looks like. I don't think we have it yet, but my hope is that he's feeling it out and feeling his way back into it. That's what Joe had said. That would be best case scenario. Worst case is you have this version of him throughout. And Jaylen Brown without explosive athleticism is not.
He's like
good.
Andrew
Wiggins.
Not good.
It's not good. He needs it. He relies on it. I'm sorry, guys. Sorry for the Jaylen stands out there. There's not enough to his game for him to make up for it when he doesn't have that the physicality and the athleticism. That's what makes him the most effective, is that strength, the brute force, the explosiveness, the ability to get to the basket, the ability to get by people, and also the ability to move laterally enough to be able to stick another team's best player. Those are all of his top attributes. It's not his court vision or his shooting, because it's been awful this year. He's a really reduced player without it, so he has to get it here, guys. No, I'm not scared of haters. I'm scared of spammers. You're just spamming the chat. I want my people to be able to talk to each other. You got to chill.
Spamming?
That's just one guy going in there with a different burner account over and over again and just writing the same stuff. So it's spammerific. This guy called himself Happy. Yeah. I like I said, I would just as soon rather see him not be here, but not play, and then just roll the dice and hope that you get a better version of him in the playoffs. But I don't know. Maybe this is what he has to learn how to play with this level of discomfort that he's going to feel. I'm not really sure. We'll continue the Jaylen conversations. It's interesting. And like I said, we'll head out to the Garden soon and hear from those guys, hear more from the podium. Want to tell you guys briefly about our pals over at Prize Picks, and you know all about it. Best place to get real money sports action. Over 10 million members, billions of dollars in awarded winnings. Prize Picks has made daily fantasy accessible to all. Pick more or less. At least 2 players shot up to win to 1,000 times your cash. Great time to get in on the action too. Here with basketball heading into the playoffs, hockey as well. You've got college basketball in the tournament right now. Baseball season is underway. All that good stuff. So check it out with Prize Picks. Get in on the action now. Download the app. You see the deal on the screen. You play 5. You get 50 dumped into your account instantly. You don't have to win. You don't have to do anything. You just have to play. Use that code CLNS when you download the app. Again, play 5, get 50 instantly for America's #1 fantasy sports app, Prize Picks. Run your game. Back to the action here. And yeah, we'll stay on the Jaylen stuff. I'm not sure what you do at this point there. I do wonder, does Jaylen have to reinvent himself a little bit, or just, let's say theoretically this is the version of Jaylen you're getting, which is reduced by however much, we're not sure. does he have to change who he is, what he tries to do, or does he just try to keep doing it but not as well?
I don't think he can change. I don't think he can change. I think that train is left and is not coming back. He is who he is. I think he just has to figure out how to be as close to Jaylen Brown as he can be. Because again, to your point, John, I mean, there's certain aspects of his game that are not going to get better in the next month or two. He's not going to all of a sudden become Steph Curry shooting the ball. He's not all of a sudden going to have Kyrie Irving handles. So speaking of the man, the myth, the legend.
I like the haircut.
First of all,
better.
how is
like
the
it
knee
tight.
feeling? How are you managing that?
I was in some pain today, but
Here we go.
Just pushing through it, trying to find ways to still be aggressive and add value to the team and stuff like that. But just something I got to work through and manage.
There are different kinds of pain. There's just it hurts, and then there's the pain that's telling you that you're hurting yourself. What are you dealing with? What kind of pain is this? How do you manage the pain? And is it something that is going to be you're going to have to manage throughout the course of the playoffs?
What was it? You said
So
like 7 questions. I get
there's
you,
something
Jaylen.
where it just like it hurts.
That's it. Yeah.
There's
There's
seven
something
types.
where it hurts, and it's like a sign of something more serious.
I'm gonna just say for now it hurts. I don't. That's it.
Is the 65 game threshold part of your equation here of playing or not playing?
No.
Right. Sure it isn't.
Jaylen, you guys are running a lot of.
I'm
pick
glad
and
it was
roll with
asked.
Luke to start this game, and obviously throughout too. What have you seen from him as a screener and being able to read those situations progression-wise this year?
Yeah, Luke has been great. He's a great screen setter, and then also if you hit him in the seam, he's able to make those reads to the opposite corner, kickouts, and then finish at the rim. He's been a great lob threat for us all year. Luke has been playing. He stepped up his game. He's having a great season. But even as of late, he's been playing spectacular. So we're looking to just keep building that momentum going into the playoffs.
How much have you seen that open up other, avenues for your guys' offense to go and like his progression in that area? Like, what has it done for you guys as an offense total?
Having the lob threat is important because, it puts pressure on the defense to have to collapse, which makes, we got a lot of shooters get, a glimpse or some space to be able to get some of those threes up. So being a paint threat helps us get open looks. So Luke has been good at, being a paint threat, getting those lobs. Because if you take away that lob, then, we got shooters all around.
Jaylen, just what behind the haircut, just taking all the hair off, what went into that?
Thank you.
You don't do anything without kind of thinking it through.
Just eat, celebrate and eat, just the end of a cycle, spring, first week of spring, started something new. That was it, just celebrate and eat.
He's got the Gary Washburn
In
cut.
terms of just playing, how are you feel? You say you went through pain. You kind of warmed up in the second half. How are you feeling out there? Are you feeling like, hey, I can do this? I mean, what was it tonight kind of a test for you?
It's a good step forward. Every night you're not going, I've had to come to grips that every night I'm not going to feel my normal self, but that doesn't mean I still can't, make plays and things like that. So it's just something that we are working through. Today was a good step forward. I got some stuff, lined up with the medical staff in order to be and feel better come playoffs. But, as for now, just mentally working through, not feeling great, but still able to, find ways to be effective, I guess.
Is this something that's been gradual to lead to this, or was it one incident that kind of led to this?
I think gradual. I've seen some specialists and stuff like that, but we got a great medical staff and we got good people around. So come playoffs, my goal is to be feeling
Seen some specialists.
So we're just working through that.
What
And
the
it's,
F?
it's a thing that we kind of manage and you push through, but we got a good plan in place. So come playoffs, my goal is to be feeling my best.
Jaylen, you guys have struggled a little bit on these first games back from a road trip.
Road trip, yeah.
Is there something about these games that just make them more challenging?
Yeah, I mean, long road trip we was on the road for like 10, 12 days. Not an excuse or anything, but those first game back, it's always a tough one. Just from a calibration standpoint, you've been in 3 different time zones. Been away from home. You just get home and like you kind of get settled, and then you got to come play a basketball game. So sometimes it's just like it'd be like that sometimes. Not an excuse. Of course, we don't make excuses, but first game back off a long road trip is always tough. And I thought we got a lot of good looks tonight. We didn't shoot the ball particularly well, and that put us in some spots, and we turned it over a little too much.
Jaylen, obviously getting down to it with just a couple weeks left. You guys haven't had many runs with everyone. What challenges do you anticipate it posing, if any, when playoffs arrive, of not having everyone for extended stretches, or is it your familiarity with this group so good that you think it won't really be effective?
We've had the next man up mentality probably since I've been in a Celtic uniform. So the strength of us is not 1 or 2 players or 3 or 4 players. It's always been our team and being able to be versatile on any given night. Somebody can kill you. So, we got to keep that in mind, and in times where, guys are healthy or not healthy, we just got to lean on our teammates to, get us through. So I'm looking forward to those moments. A lot of our guys are primed, they're experienced, they're ready for the big moment. So, it's that time of the year. So, let's get ready.
Thank you, Jaylen.
Thank you.
Well, that sucked.
Has seen specialists. Did not like that at all.
So
maybe sleep specialists. Maybe like he didn't say what type of specialist. Maybe
so now we're gonna play alphabet soup game, are we, Jimmy?
Well, we don't know exactly.
Yeah, he didn't really say this. He really said.
He's very open with his injuries.
Yeah. That leads me to believe that it's not going to be something that he thinks is going to derail him from getting close to where he's used to being. I don't think he's going to be 100%. No one is 100% this time of year or going to the playoffs. But I do think they need to get a pretty damn good version of Jaylen Brown if they're going to bring home Banner 19. Doesn't have to be great every playoff series, but I think he's got to be close to the guy that we saw last year, if not better. And he's definitely not there right now. But if you look at the San Antonio game, you look at this one, he's trending in the right direction. But it was good to hear that he acknowledged he was not himself physically in this game, and yet he still put up good numbers. But they're going to need him to be better, and I think he knows that, and this team knows that.
Yeah, I mean, like, I know Jaylen sometimes puts stuff out there because he wants us to know it. I think this is transparency because we can see it. Like, this isn't.
Can't deny it.
You can't deny it. I don't think it's excuse making. It's not great news.
Anytime
sorry. I don't want like Doomer Zannis to take over here, but like that's what you don't want to hear. What you want to hear is gets better every day. Today felt better than yesterday. It's trending in the right direction. We got a good program here. I think I'll be 100% by playoffs. Even if it's bullshit, you'd feel a little more assured to hear that. The resignation in his voice, it hurts. It hurts. It hurt tonight. Oh,
I asked Chat GPT, I said, what could it mean when someone sees a specialist for knee pain? Listed like 5 reasons. And then at the end, it said, seeing a specialist usually indicates that the pain or problem is complex, ongoing, or potentially severe. Chat GPT is rarely wrong, as we've come to find out. Kind of thought all those things too. I mean, if you're seeing specialists, multiple specialists, maybe you didn't like what the first guy said. Maybe they couldn't figure it out. But if you're going that far into it, it's more than just take a couple Advil, ice the knee, and, we'll see you out there on Friday. It's, hey, I've got some, serious pain here. It's lingering. It's getting worse. It hurts when I do this. It hurts when I do that. What's going on, sort of deal. And it might just be, they may have told him, yeah, you can play on it, but it's not going to get any better until you do this. And what this might be could be something off-season type thing. I mean, obviously speculation here, right? But to John's point, he didn't seem very thrilled. Well, he never seems thrilled in his defense, but he didn't seem thrilled talking about it. And it almost felt like he was holding back some information when they
to me,
asked, like, what kind of pain? It was kind of like, I'm going to just say that.
To me, I don't read this as like he's making excuses. It's not as bad as it is. To me, it's like the truth is I'm fucked and I'm going to try to do my best to play through it. I'm fucked. Sorry. Don't mean to swear for the kiddies out there.
Yeah. Effed.
My little ones might watch back this show. That was bad on me.
We'll have Amit bleep it out. Oh, he's got nothing to do.
What does your dad do for a living?
Take your dad to work day or take your dad to school day.
Talking about, that sucked.
Yeah. Feels worse than an actual loss, to be honest. Hear him talk about it. Bad games, they are what they are. But when your game isn't great because of a physical issue and you don't sound as though that physical issue is getting any better, or certainly not making those around you feel as though this is going to be okay.
Yeah.
This is not a good place.
He needs to the best medicine for him here is probably the Zannis clean ACL tear.
Jeez. Bring back Kemba.
Just rip it. Just tear it apart.
Start from scratch.
Move on. No, I mean, look, it's a pain management thing. It's not we can all Google or Chat GPT bone bruise. It hurts. It hurts more the more you do stuff on it. You got to manage the pain. He's not going for surgery. He didn't. It's not a meniscus that they got to trim or snip or do the Rob Williams to. It's not. He's not. Doesn't have torn MCL, PCL, LCL, ACL. It's a friggin' bone bruise and it hurts like hell. And when he goes out there, he feels pain, which sucks. So what the hell is he playing for? Just get rest. And again, I guess we guessed this a while ago. It all adds up.
Well, that's what you're saying it is.
What adds up, the only thing that adds up now is he knows it's going to hurt the whole time. So he's just got to learn to play with it hurting and then figure out how he can push it and just manage the pain. And that's it. I never really believed the 65 games, but I would just still rest the friggin' thing. Just rest. Just stop playing.
I don't believe that 65 game. I'm the opposite on that.
You think he's playing?
No. I
you think he's playing for 65?
No, I'm the opposite. I think he's not playing for 65.
Me neither.
Because I don't think he'd get any of those teams anyways.
He's in a conversation for third team.
I don't think he'd get third team. So I think if he can't qualify for third team, he can't not get third. He can't not get voted in for third team.
Because there are going to be some players that would normally probably be in that same space or slightly ahead of him who aren't going to make it. Like Dame Lillard's probably not going to be in the mix.
Again, people are asking if he's not playing for 65, then what? My belief is what I just said and what I said earlier, that he's been told or he understands that it's not going to just get better. He doesn't have enough time to rest and for it to feel right. So he's just got to learn to play with it being uncomfortable. And that's what he's going to have to do in the playoffs. So he's got to be able to go out there and test it because this is just how he's going to be. That's what I think, which is bad because on the days that it really hurts, you're going to be more limited than on the days it feels a little bit better, which is bad. So I don't love it. I don't care. I still think he'd just benefit more from a little bit of rest. Why subject yourself to it?
No, I would just rest it as much as you could. Maybe he gets a couple more games in just to make sure the rest isn't completely there.
And maybe that's the plan right there to they've got 6-7 games left. If you play him 2 or 3 more games, sit him the rest. Yeah. That'll allow him to still be in somewhat of a rhythm, but give some downtime for that, for his body to get not right, but get better. Because at this point, that's really what you're looking for. He's not going to be peak Jaylen Brown, but can you get him closer to that with a little bit of rest? Yeah, you can do that. And I would hope that's the plan for the rest of the regular season, to get him at least 2 or 3 more games off before we get to the playoffs. That would make the most sense at this point.
I'm just bummed out now. I don't even want to be here anymore.
I'm a sad girl. I don't want to be here anymore. Yeah.
I don't even want to be around.
This sucks.
I don't want to be here anymore. Pull the plug, guys.
Home. Good night.
Oh man. Yeah.
Oh.
It is. It's
the
sad
wrong
girl energy.
It's the wrong guy to have a knee pain thing, because you guys mentioned it earlier. He needs his athleticism, right? That's a huge part of his game.
It's a superpower. It's his superpower. His athleticism.
All right. I'm going to let Bobby and Noah talk. I'm depressed as hell.
Speaking of superpowers.
Wait, why are you depressed?
I thought that Jaylen was so depressing, that press conference.
They missed it. They were at Jordan Walsh.
Were you at the?
Okay.
There was a big JD Davison ceremony.
The MVP.
And you know what, John? I hope we have a little bit of a JD Davison segment here.
Yeah, we will.
Me.
But
But not right now. But I just
somewhere else.
Yeah,
no. I want you to be on for it.
In the F block.
Okay, so I don't think he sounded particularly bad. So it was funny because he was asked about the injury twice, right? The first line of questioning that John had, and then Gary kind of circled back up to it, and I felt like at first he was seeming like, he made clear the 65 game thing. He doesn't want that to be a narrative out there, which I understand. And then I thought it was a little encouraging when he was saying about how he has a plan with the medical stuff. He's hoping to get some shots. Like, that's probably what it is. And just he has some optimism that he'll be good to go for the playoffs. I mean, it was obvious he's in pain. Remains obvious. He doesn't need to tell us that. You can see it on his face. You can see it the way that he's bracing his falls and things. The question is just like, is it going to get better over the next few months or over the next few weeks? And also if he can just play through it. And I thought he was okay today. I don't think he was bad.
I know, but that's not it. Like, you're right with all of it. Like, it's good that he said they have a plan. But this version of Jaylen Brown lasting throughout the playoffs is like championship dream ending sort of news. Like, it's going to be hard to win all the way through with Brown being a reduced player.
Wait a second.
So that's dangerous. Meaning, like, he's got to be at his absolutely athletic best. For anything that I don't love about Jaylen's game, like, he's super valuable in these times, in these playoffs, for the athleticism, the physical presence, checking the other guy. If he doesn't have that element to his game, I'm not going to say a detriment, but he's not nearly as impactful. And you need all your horses to be able to do it this year. I don't think that this is like last year where you could slide all the way through without, a key player. So him admitting that, like, yeah, it hurts a lot, or it hurts. And like the kind of us understanding that he's probably going to be playing like this the rest of the way, to me was definitely disheartening.
Yeah, and I'd be curious to see Joe's ability to get away from Jaylen if necessary in one of those spots, if this is going to linger into at least the first round. And tonight I texted it right before they went to the garbage time lineup, John, that it looked like, again, about to go to crunch time, to the final minutes there without him, before they ended up giving the big run and falling out of it, because they sat him with 5 minutes left. And so he's on that limit right now. It's right around 29-30, it seems. And I'm with you, John. I listened to everything you said right before we came on. It doesn't make any sense that he's playing. None. I'm so far past the point. I gave a little bit of credence to, you got to learn to play through it. He's going to have to play through it either way. So you might as well just rest now and hope that it gets.
Yeah. What's he going to learn now when he feels this way in the first round? Like, okay, my knee hurts. It's game 3 of round 1. Great. Figure it out from that point on. What are you figuring out now? It doesn't make a lot of sense.
And particularly if the All-NBA isn't a factor, as he said there's even more games available down the stretch to not play, or you could play on a even more stringent limit. He seemed to tail off into the second half, I thought, tonight, Noah. You saw him grimacing more after the jumps. You saw him struggling more and more to get up and down the floor, and that probably factored into Joe's decision to front load the fourth quarter minutes for him and then not have him out there late in the game. I think it did end up becoming a thing, but it was that San Antonio game where they went double big and ended up not putting him out there late.
Let's play it back. The beginning of that press conference, just to hear it again. This was Jaylen talking about the injury with the round of questions coming from John Corrales.
Me feeling, how are you managing that?
I was in some pain today, but just pushing through it, trying to find ways to still be aggressive and add value to the team and stuff like that. But just something I got to work through and manage.
There are different kinds of pain. There's just it hurts, and then there's the pain that's telling you that you're hurting yourself. What are you dealing with? What kind of pain is this? How do you manage the pain? And is it something that is going to be you're going to have to manage throughout the course of the playoffs?
What was it? You said
So
two types?
There's something where it's just like it hurts.
That's it. Yeah.
And then there's something where it hurts and it's like a sign of something more serious.
I'm gonna just say for now it hurts. I don't. That's it.
Is the 65 game threshold part of your equation here of playing or not playing?
No.
What was positive about that, guys?
Okay, well, that was the first minute of the press conference. Gary asked him about it later too, when he gave more information.
I knew that, but then also in that more information portion, he said he was seeing specialists, which is always a good sign when you're seeing multiple specialists trying to figure out what's going on with your knee. So, I didn't see anything that was remote, that I could possibly spin as a good update.
You got a haircut.
I like the
haircut. Get a haircut.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That was like resignation to me. It hurts. And
we talked about
then
that.
the more elaborate question about long-term and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, let's just leave it at it hurts. It was it's bad. It's not good right now. I don't know what to tell you guys. I don't want to talk about it. It hurts. My knee hurts. It sucks.
Yeah, you're not going to like what I tell you.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
No, just one thing. First of all, I've only been covering the Celtics for a year and a half, but when guys have injuries, this is how they act. They Sam Hauser, we kind of joke about it.
Not Xavier Tillman.
Not Xavier Tillman, but you couldn't ask Sam about his back. He just kind of shut down. They don't like talking about their injuries. They don't want to say the wrong thing. I think he didn't want to say what, we don't really even know what his knee thing is. I'm not surprised that Jaylen of all people is going to have that demeanor. I don't think it necessarily means all that much. We talked about it earlier in the year, when he had his other injuries, ankle or whatever, I think you guys criticized him for how he was bringing up those injuries. I don't think that he talks about injuries in a very blissful way. Nobody would. The other thing I'm just saying, I don't know if you guys watched the post-game press conference or if this was streamed on the show after San Antonio talked to him in the locker room. After Phoenix, actually, he was more negative there. So I think maybe part of why I don't feel discouraged is that in that locker room interview, he was like, I'm just going to have to play through it. I just got to figure this out. It's a lot of pain. I think this is not the first time that he's talked like this. So it just wasn't, I guess maybe that's part of my initial reaction was that I already knew all this information and it felt like at least now he has some plan I found that to be I guess a little bit encouraging.
Doesn't seem to be a plan. It seems like he's just more frustrated with the knee pain a week later. He still doesn't look like himself out there. Yeah, he played better tonight than he did in San Antonio. But I think
the plan just seems to be doing what he wants to do.
Right. But it also seems like you're getting 75% or less of Jaylen Brown right now. And I guess the question is, if he plays on it, is it not going to get worse? But it's not going to get better.
Then you have a minutes restriction in there, Jimmy, where it's he can play, but only to a point. So it just doesn't add up to me in terms of it being a good idea for him to play. It might not be a bad idea, but I don't see how playing through it now. I know you're going to have to do it come playoff time, and I know there's an element, as we've discussed, of learning how to play through it. But that has to be balanced against significant rest down the stretch here. It just can't hurt to rest and stay off it and let it heal however much it can over the stretch here that they have left. This is such a luxury they have to be able to sit out players, to be able to manage everything that they have going on right now. You're seeing them do it every single night. I know they did it on Monday. That was great to see. But I think we all wouldn't have a problem with them going a little further with resting this, especially when there have been multiple nights now where he just looks limited by it. And John, you make the best point of all. The concern isn't that you're not going to have him come playoff time. The concern is that you're just going to have to deal with this version of him in a playoff situation. And again, can you get away from him if it's not going right or if he's not feeling right? That's a serious question. Suddenly, I think you described on your show, Noah, the biggest question this team has now going into the playoffs is what kind of Jaylen you're going to get.
And that's the issue that I'm most consumed by right now, because the Jaylen Brown we got tonight, that got you 24 points against a Heat team that really wasn't playing great defense. They did okay, but Jaylen's inability to be more dominant was because of Jaylen, not what they did. They're going to play better teams. They're going to play better teams at both ends of the floor. If this is the version of Jaylen Brown that we're going to see, Banner 19 is going to be extremely difficult to come by because someone else is going to have to step up and fill that void because Jaylen, he's such an impactful player. I mean, we're talking about the reigning NBA and Eastern Conference Finals MVP. He stepped his game up in the most critical moment of the season. And if he's – and that big part of that was because he was at the top of his game. If he's not there going to the playoffs or in the playoffs, it becomes a much rougher road for the Celtics. And we already know going in, it's not going to be a cakewalk, even when he is at the top of his game, for them to get back there. So
6 games left. 5, if we're going off the All-NBA stuff, he does have to play in 5 of them to get there.
I
2 of them you would think at the very end,
he's
not going to play. No one's going to play.
I have an important bracket announcement, Bobby. I have to get it in for the people. We accidentally prematurely ran the second bracket, the Blame Pie versus Damn It Amit, which was damn close, 50-50. We're going to pause that one. Keep those stats. That matchup is meant for Friday. That was premature. We're still on the You're Muted Tatum Lullaby, though it was a freaking blowout. We're putting that poll back up. You can continue to vote there, but that one was a runaway. That's the one.
What's winning?
You're Muted is killing the Tatum Lullaby.
Wow.
Blame Pie and Damn It Amit is a dead heat, by the way. And
really?
So that one's going to continue on for Friday. We are sorry. We prematurely put that one up.
Wow.
Your votes still count. They're going to be tabulated.
Boxes.
I know. We're going to have
election reform. We've got election reform.
Maricopa County is still being counted.
I know. It's really bad. We're going to have all the auditors come in and standing, and we're going to recount. We promise.
I think that's needed.
It's rigged.
Unbelievable. Damn it, Amit.
Damn it, Amit. This is a classic Damn It, Amit move.
Damn it, Amit.
Wow, I just love the development of this bracket. I thought Noah's thing was going to win. And
No.
The chat people got scared. And
They
now,
should be scared.
Yeah,
Jimmy, you were right.
No, we don't want Noah to leave.
Jimmy, you were right. You're muted so present that the people just seem to love it.
The people, everyone's been a part of it. Everyone's a part of it,
Yeah.
If you're muted wins, we're making your muted t-shirts. How about that?
Yeah.
So listen, you guys.
That's so like boomer, like the Zoom jokes.
It is.
Listening to you guys say that you don't believe in the All NBA stuff. Does that
By
mean
the
you
way,
believe we won't see Jaylen in 5 or 6 here?
What?
Does that mean you don't think we'll see Jaylen in 5 in the final 6?
I don't think we will.
I don't think we will.
He straight up said no, too. I mean, what do you think, Bobby? I'll throw it back to you.
I've believed it's a factor from the start. Players want to make the All-NBA team. They want to be eligible for the All-NBA team. And Joe said it in Memphis, Noah. It's important.
You know what?
There's a balance, but it's important.
They can give him the token, start the game, and come out at the first whistle if it's close with a couple of games. So I mean, if you want to do that,
he has to play 15 minutes in those.
Oh, it's 15?
Yep.
Oh, plot.
You should be able to play 15 minutes though.
Yeah.
I mean, if they do that, then it's obvious. If
that's what I've said all along. It's going to be very obvious if that's the reason.
Because it wouldn't be the first time that we've seen the Celtics play guys for something that goes outside of winning. I mean, remember when Rajon Rondo had like the double assist, was training in that, and he played in a game where the game was well out of hand, and he's still out there trying to rack up numbers. So it's not like this is an anomaly of sorts that we've never seen before. But I'd be a little disappointed, though, if we see Jaylen Brown all of a sudden playing, in the next 5 games, and he plays like around 18 to 20 minutes, and he doesn't play in the final game.
Okay, I'll just say one thing, because I think that Joe's line of kind of default line here when he's been asked about Jaylen is, I trust him, and we're going to defer to him, and it's his choice. Like, that's been very communicated clearly to us. And I know that that's not how people feel at home, but there is a certain element of like, he has done things differently over the years. Like, he is kind of somebody that just kind of beats to his own drum. That's the expression.
Yep.
And I think that there should be an element, like some grace, that people who are on the outside, we don't know what the injury is. We don't know what he's doing behind the scenes. We don't know if he's taking shots or if he's getting whatever. Like, we really have such little information that, like, he's been super durable in his career. He's found ways to be effective, like, through almost every situation that he's been in. Like, that I kind of do think it's okay to say that he might actually be making like the decisions that make sense for himself. Like, I know everybody's looking out there like he's grimacing and things, but he might have enough information and a plan that he feels like this is the best thing for me and this is the best way for me to get through.
Yeah.
And he has medical professionals that he's consulting with, and we're all kind of speculating on something that we don't really know a lot about. And I've done it too. Like, it's inevitable because it is kind of the big concern right now. But
it's 2 conversations, Noah. You're right. Everything might be exactly as they planned, like all of it. Like, he's working with people, they're managing it. The treatment plan is good. It'll be as good as it can be. The issue, in my opinion, isn't any of that. It's if he is reduced, their chances of winning are less significantly because their margin of error is less. So it's nothing to do with should he be, can he be, will he be, what can he do? It's if this is the version of Jaylen Brown you have throughout the playoffs, give or take, and some better and some worse. Like, could you live with this JB who was okay, limited, ended up putting up some decent stats, even though I don't know, like, it didn't look like a great game, but the numbers look fine. You can survive, but like, it just really, really hurts your chances of winning it all. You're playing for one thing here. So it's not like, oh yeah, he can tough it out and he'll be in there and it'll be okay. He might, but their chances go down, I think, significantly if he's a fraction of who he can be. And I think he's revealing tonight that's the case. That's why I was depressed by it. It's like,
he said it in
he's
Phoenix
just kind of
too, right?
saying like, it hurts. It keeps hurting. I'm like, oh God, like that's.
I mean, that was the stunning takeaway of the Phoenix game, John. Him coming out of that, and he played great that night. We've seen him a couple of times still be able to score 24 points on this thing. But didn't he say that night that this is just something I'm gonna have to deal with? There's no way around it, and that's
so.
What
There's two things we can discuss here, right? There is this like really concerning injury from what we're gathering, and like, is this going to ruin their title chances? And then there's the discussion around, should he be playing right now? So I think maybe that's where I was. We're kind of mixing those two together. And so my point was not about it not being a big deal. My point is about it. The fact is that whether or not he sits right now might not actually have much of an impact ultimately. Like,
I agree, Noah. That's we don't know. That's pure speculation, and it may not matter. Should he or shouldn't he? It makes sense to not if you're experiencing discomfort, but we may be wrong. He may need to be able to do it because it's part of his plan and blah, blah, blah. That's way less important to me than the other thing. I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
The speculation over should he or shouldn't he and why is he playing and is he making it worse? I don't think they're putting him out there intentionally making it worse to sabotage their playoff run. I think that's silly. So I agree there. I'm not as vexed by that, even though it pains me to see it. It's almost maybe
I know it's hard to watch because
I don't want the reminder of it. So that's why I want him to rest. I'm like, just go not be in pain for a little bit,
Right. And this is their advantage that they have right now.
And part of it is also like, it's so unusual to actually see NBA players in visceral pain. Like, that's kind of the critique that people have of NBA players these days, is like something hurts and you sit. And so part of it is just like, just seeing him grimacing, seeing him landing and being in pain. Like, it's not a very typical NBA sight, especially not this time of year, like when games don't really matter. So I think part of people's reactions to watching him play right now, and like I don't want to say overreactions, but like the concern is that we're not really used to seeing this. And It's kind of what the NBA wants, is people to play through things that they can play through, because people don't really do it. And there might be he might just be wanting to do it for a number of reasons.
And we've had some debate over which way is better, So I think that's a fair point. Like, is it better to push through and deal with it, or is it better to sit out and rest it whenever it does hurt? Like, wasn't there a study or something that load management doesn't work, or something?
An NBA sponsored study, I think. But yes.
Yes,
that's a fair point.
The NBA put that out.
And part of what he's probably doing behind closed doors is figuring out, like, is it making it worse, or is this the kind of thing that's just pain? Like that's like that. I think what John asked is the question that we're all wondering, and obviously he didn't really answer it, but that's the big question, right? Like, is this dangerous that you're playing through it? And he probably has a lot more information. The same way we still don't know what is wrong with Hauser's back, if it's fixed, if it ever was fixed, if he did shots. Like, we don't know anything, and that's the tough thing. Is like, injuries are so important. They're one of the most important storylines when you're talking about a team trying to repeat, and we're working with crumbs, and so it makes us have to just kind of like read body language when nobody's body language is good when they're talking about injuries. And I think Hauser, like, people got over scrutinized around like his defense sliding, where it's like sometimes he just I don't know that it was connected to his back necessarily, but when you don't have a lot of information, we kind of have to do that.
I don't think Jaylen Brown's
games left back to back. Like, we are going to learn a lot about where this is going based on how they use him over that stretch.
I was just gonna say, I don't Jaylen Brown, like, he's not stupid. He's not gonna play.
Right. That's what I was trying to get at, is like,
if the doctors
he's
like,
made good
you really
decisions for
shouldn't
himself.
play. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think he's gonna overrule doctors and multiple specialists.
Jimmy, we're just scared because as well as anyone, there's been a lot of mishaps over the years handling injuries. There really has.
Sure, there definitely has been. But I just feel like Jaylen Brown's always like, he's not gonna like pull a Isaiah Thomas and like play hurt and like jeopardize his career because he wants to, win so badly. And that's not meant to be a knock on either player. I just feel like Jaylen Brown's not going to put his career or his health in more jeopardy by playing through meaningless games right now. Like, I just don't see that. Maybe in the playoffs, maybe he's more willing to, play through some serious discomfort, but I feel like it wouldn't make much sense to do that right now. The fact that he's seeing specialists, though, guys, like, that was the thing that I took out of this.
Why is that concerning? Why would he not see specialists?
It means he can't figure it out.
Yeah,
it
was just something.
I guess it's the plural, meaning like you go to a doctor.
I think it's just representative of how he is as a person. Like, he's not going to just take what one doctor tells him and be like, okay, that's my treatment
his own
plan.
research.
Like, I think he's just like a little extra like that. And part of it is just like his mental too. He just seems like, if you had to, before the saga, if you had to say like, who's one player on the team that's going to ask 6 doctors' opinions for something, like, he'd be the guy you'd pick. So it doesn't necessarily indicate.
I don't know.
Maybe, man, for the most part, specialists.
Who would you guys pick?
I'm just saying, I don't disagree with that. I'm just saying most times specialist is Luke. You see it when conventional wisdom and medicine and thinking doesn't solve the problem. So you go to somebody else and somebody else and somebody else because you're not. It's whatever
like
they're
a witch doctor.
doing.
I grew up in a multiple opinions household, so maybe that's where I'm coming.
Isn't working. Yeah, whatever you're doing isn't working. I understand second opinions,
still haven't
but that's
figured it out
when it's
for you,
like you got to make a difficult decision.
What was that?
It still hurts, and I can't figure out why. You guys tell me why,
Or I can't figure out what the best thing I can do now is. It's not necessarily that he doesn't know what, the specialist can also be for the treatment plan.
It all just goes back to the big problem is that it's going to linger. Like, they're just dealing with it, and it's going to be there, and it's not going away. So whether sitting out would heal it and he's not doing that, or it's an all NBA thing, or the specialists are getting involved. Like, John, you said it off the top. This is here. It's going to be here. And the playoffs are right around the corner, and that's not a good thing. No matter how we slice it up, it's not a good thing.
Yeah, and the specialist might mean nothing, Jimmy. It just literally means like I just saw a guy who's really good at bone bruises, So I'm not putting that much stock into it.
I was like encouraged by the specialist. I was like, okay, he's doing due diligence.
Yeah, I mean, but when you hear it, it's always I always think like I flew to Germany, for like PCP, like platelet, plasma therapy, whatever.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
That's more. It's like when people think of specialists, like, okay, now he's going. The doctors can't figure it out, so we're going to go see a bunch of quacks. But like, or alternate medicine or whatever. But I think it probably just more means guys who specifically deal with this and how to manage it. And,
let's go back to the very beginning. He sat out, or not the very beginning, but where this recent stretch started.
Multiple opinion household. Write it down for next year's bracket, by the way.
He sat out What was it? The Miami game?
He missed the 2 games before the All-Star break. That's when the knee thing started.
Okay. Then he plays in the All-Star game. Then he misses the Miami game on the front end of the back-to-back, plays the next night in Brooklyn, has to leave, and then misses a couple of games after that. And then it's been on and off ever since. So it's been a weird progression too of missing time, jumping back in, missing time again, a seemingly setback that happened there in Brooklyn where
That was his lower back.
but they sent out the statement after that, right, about the knee and that, they're going to see how he feels after a couple games there. So it's been a lot of ups and downs through this process that make it a little strange too. Again, I don't have any answers here. It's just a weird month or so that we've been talking about this.
Yeah, it is annoying, and it isn't going anywhere. And the only thing that's going to make it feel better is so we're not going to spend a lot of time in the game because it's a meaningless game, but we'll look at it in terms of what the hell went wrong tonight. I don't care how deeply we slice it, but out of curiosity, what went wrong tonight, guys? Like you can slice up the pie, or you can just tell us everything that goes into the pie.
I mentioned on our text thread, the small ball lineup didn't really work.
No, Luke, I got it.
Guys
Okay.
in it.
Joe,
Yeah,
100%
Well,
of the pie.
Luke was the only person that wasn't in the negatives, but the plus minus. So
when he went out there, they were playing great and looked
Luke
like
gets
they
cake.
would have won this game.
Bobby's blame pie. 100% Joe for not starting Luke in the second half. Noah, you go.
I think honestly, like some things started going awry when they were trying out those like the Nemi, Torrey Craig like lineups. Yeah, and you should try those lineups now because why not, right? So I don't really care that those were the lineups that hurt. Like in that, I think it was late in the first that they rolled out that lineup and things in Miami immediately went on a run. Like there was a lot of funky combinations out there. I thought they just weren't focused. Like a lot of uncharacteristic mistakes on both ends.
Bad turnovers.
And again, if you look at I think Sean Grandy tweeted this out of like the records right after these long road trips, and it's kind of ridiculous. But it's every single road trip. You may as well not buy a ticket to this game if you're a Celtics fan.
That's on the
Weird, right?
Mount Rushmore.
It is.
Yeah. So
It
I
is.
think to me, it didn't look like one guy tanked it for them, or it was just like across the board. It was just it was a tough watch, and they only got back into it because they got really hot for a second there. It kind of reminded me of the Philadelphia game. I thought they were going to get it done actually, but I would say if I had to put it to a thing, it would be like kind of when they started rolling with some of these unusual lineups and they weren't really able to crawl out of that.
Yeah, I'm going Tatum 100% of the blame pie.
Tatum put him in a rough spot.
If Tatum has a good game and doesn't get frustrated and in his feelings and doesn't try to shoot his way out of it with a bunch of bad 3-pointers, they win tonight. Everything else was a byproduct of being down 3 of your top 6 players. So you got to get funky. You got to try different things. You got to try combos that are probably not going to work because you're putting people in games and situations that they're not accustomed to being in. So I'm not going to get mad at Neemias Queta for playing tonight and not being awesome, or Baylor Shireman for still not being ready for prime time, or Torrey Craig, who's been brutal, being thrust into 20 minutes of action. Like, I expect those guys to not be good. I expect Jason Tatum. We've seen the Celtics win shorthanded many times. This lineup should have won tonight if they just played the way they normally play. But you had a bad friggin' Tatum game, and he just couldn't stop jacking bad threes, couldn't get where he wanted to go, got frustrated, and that's it. And then, the reduced, Jaylen Brown not being 100%, so you're almost down 3.5 guys. So you needed Tatum to have a Tatum game, and he had a bad game.
And that is a tiny sliver of something you do take away from this one, and maybe some spots earlier in the season because they just went on a 9-game win streak with guys in and out of the lineup and looked like what they did last year with bench guys stepping up. But when you get into the little deeper part of that bench, and then you were talking about the garbage time, which I guess didn't look good either. I wasn't watching it, but there are some more questionable performers when you get deeper down that bench, and that probably won't matter if they're going to be healthier in the playoffs, but you don't know what Shireman's going to bring in a playoff environment. Doesn't look like Craig's going to help you here the way he's played so far, and Queta, that one just really bums me out because beginning of the year he looked like a contributor, and now it's almost
but Queta died so Luke could live. Joe was messing around trying Queta, looked like he'd surpassed him, and then he started going to Luke more and more and more. And honestly, Luke hit a different gear after he stopped competing for those third center minutes with Keita, and Luke 2.0 this season has been a totally different guy. So honestly, like marginalizing Keita and reducing his minutes might work to their benefit, I think. Jimmy, Sherrod, what do you guys think tonight?
Keita has made Luke a better player, to be honest with you, because until there was a legitimate competition, Luke's game had just kind of leveled out, and from that point on, Luke kept getting better. So Luke, he's good.
You're giving Keita the credit for Luke's success.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Credit cake goes to Keita.
Absolutely. As far as the blame pie tonight, I got 60 for Tatum, 40 for Joe. No one else gets in. Those were the two that.
How about the refs?
Stop. If one of those other two actually did what they're supposed to do or what they usually do better, the rest wouldn't have mattered. Wouldn't have mattered.
I'm going 70 for Tatum. I'm going 5.
Oh, Jimmy, don't do the 5s.
No. This is in my head already. I'm doing
5.
Let's get the calculator out. Come on.
Distract me. I'm going to lose my numbers.
All right, go.
I got 70 for Tatum. I got 5 for Hauser because I just didn't think Hauser did much tonight. And
Hauser?
Yeah. I'm
going
giving
from
Hauser
70 to 5 and Tatum to Hauser.
I'm giving.
Are we going to like 3, 2,
Hold on.
I
I want to see how close he comes to 100. Let's go.
No.
This is my favorite part.
The next one's easy. 25 for the Stay Ready crew, because these guys, you guys are criticizing them all as individuals. They're the Stay Ready crew. None of these guys are ever ready. They're just never ready.
You just singled out Sam.
Well, he was in the starting lineup tonight, so I.
Well, Sam's not a Stay Ready guy.
Yeah, he's not a Stay Ready guy. But Pritchard's not having a good run here, and tonight with Holiday being out,
he's not a Stay Ready guy either.
I know, but he led the bench.
Though.
He led the bench tonight. Complete
I'm just saying,
zero
he's going to be part of the
from the bench.
He's got to rally the troops.
A couple people on this show picked Drew Holiday to be the guy to miss the playoffs if you had to pick one. Well, tonight was a little preview, and the guard play tonight was non-existent.
And KP wasn't here either, so we can't victory lap too high.
Can I
kind of figure out?
Speaking of Stay Ready crew, can I tell you the single saddest moment of tonight's game?
Sure.
It's not going to be the same one I have.
Okay, late in the game when they were moving the ball around, it looked like a couple of people could have potentially shot a 3, but nobody was shooting it. Even on the broadcast, they're like, someone's got to shoot. And it finally gets his way to Jordan Walsh's hands, and he's like, well, I'm not going to friggin' do it. And he takes one dribble towards the paint and just throws it into the chest of a Heat player. It was like, oh, Jordan. You're like,
he's so tired from the game last night.
Like,
pass the grenade around.
Nobody there. He's like, I just don't want this anymore.
Oh, too. Yeah.
Threw it to a Heat player. I'm like, oh, man. It's so bad. I don't know.
I heard the garbage time minutes weren't great. I didn't watch them.
No, what was your saddest moment?
I don't even want to talk about it.
Was it the JD moment?
It was the JD turnover off of the legit first pass of the offense, because I just watched this guy just destroy competition for 40 minutes against like guys that have all been in the NBA, collect his MVP award, do a pregame presser about his MVP award. I just so badly wanted him to have like 5 good minutes.
Just a clean pass, you know?
All I wanted was
5 good minutes, just a clean, as Jimmy pointed, just a good pass.
My heart broke.
That's where the bar's at. Let me just get a good pass.
That's why garbage time doesn't matter.
Did I see?
It matters because it's the only time you'll ever see these guys against NBA competition.
It's just impossible to pull from it, though.
This can be one
All
of
right,
the
well,
100 things we don't agree on.
Let's try to end on a happy note for Noah, because I don't like seeing Noah like this way.
Thank you.
She came in surly. Now we've made her sad. Maine Celtics JD Davison named G League MVP, which, as I said on our text thread, is kind of like getting an A in remedial math. But he did it. He got there.
Yeah.
It's kind of a dubious honor, but JD gets it. But Noah, who spent the most time,
does that officially?
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off, but does that officially make him the worst player in the NBA?
It's like the 67th team, the play-in game,
Yeah, right.
Or the winner of the NIT, rather. Like we're
just kidding, Noah.
We're 65. Anyway, go ahead, Noah. Talk about.
What do you mean? Go ahead. You guys just roasted the whole thing, and now you're
no.
I can't wait to talk about it now.
We set you up for it. Go.
Yeah. What do you want me to say?
You're
Well, you were
proud.
there.
You're proud
You
of
were
the
at the
guy.
game.
Okay, no, I just want to say, okay, fine.
What does
Fine.
it mean?
It means that he was the best player in the G League, which I know you guys think is a joke, but it actually is a very competitive basketball league, filled with very talented players who were drafted 10th and 12th and played in the NBA for 4 years and played in the NBA for 5 years. And the guy he was guarding yesterday played in the NBA for 4 years, Kyra Lewis.
I saw Kent Bazemore on
Heard
the
of
other
him.
team.
Held him to 6 points on 2 of 7 shooting. So
JT Thor.
So yeah, my point is just that this is a guy that for the last 3 years has been shuttling back and forth from Maine to Boston, has barely gotten NBA opportunities, and has been just super bought into leading that team. And I think actually, you know what? People actually do care about this team more than you guys would think, as far as my page views for those stories go. So I do think people care a little bit, maybe not like every single Celtics fan, but there is an audience of fans.
People care about JD.
People care about the Maine
They're
Celtics.
just wondering,
I think
where is he going?
right, and so
Right.
that's why I was intrigued to watch those 5 minutes, because we get very limited opportunities of watching him play in the NBA. I mean, I'll just say this: I asked Drew Holiday about it last week. He said JD is going to be a really good NBA player. He feels like he is ready for that step. I think that's the word from just talking to people in and around. Like a lot of people feel that way, that next year he's going to sign to a team and get an opportunity to be a backup point guard, maybe a backup point guard. I don't know.
Will it be
The
Boston?
things that I don't probably not. And so that's why it's like maybe not the most newsworthy thing for Celtics fans. Personally, I think because he's a guy that he has been the reason why this Maine Celtics team continues to be really good, and why a guy like Baylor Shireman can go spend 3 months in Maine and then come to Boston and be ready to go, because he's not up there in some organization that's completely defunct where there's a starting point guard who's trying to score 50 and not, set people up. He's playing like really, really good basketball up there so that Baylor Shireman can develop and come here. Like he's almost been like the reason why that program has been so successful, I think, in a lot of ways, and why they were able to bring guys down afterwards. And Baylor is like a perfect example. I talked to Baylor's mom about it today and like how impactful those few months were for him. So I think he's just somebody who's worked really hard, who's done it the right way, stuck with the same group, like, kind of worked his way through the thing. And if you watch him play, like he is just so much better than he was a few years ago. And that doesn't mean that he's going to be like, I'm not going to sit here and say like, I'm so confident that he's going to be like a great backup point guard in the NBA, because I just haven't seen him play. And it is such a different level of basketball, but he's improved a ton as a shooter and he's improved a ton as a defender. And defense was the one thing that people were not sure about. And just, he's become one of that team's best defenders. And a couple years ago, he was a liability on that team. So it's just a cool
legit question
Yes.
for you, because I am curious, like he has athleticism, he has improved his shooting. What prevents him from being able to be more here than there? Like what's holding him back right now from at least being able to be a regular contributor on, deep bench, on this team? And again, it's a tough rotation to crack. I get it. But like, what's the hurdle? What's the last hurdle for him? Because some guys do get stuck in that in-between zone forever. And that's the fear with a player like JD, is the 4A label. Like, what do you think's holding him back from taking a leap? Because I think people would love for a young, exciting guy who has some athleticism to come in here and be able to contribute. It'd be like one of those, I use this expression all the time, found money sort of things. Like, wow, I think we'd be getting that out of JD. What keeps him from being able to do that?
I don't know. I mean, I think that's the big question. Like, I don't know if it's one thing.
I have an idea.
The defense, like
He's on the ball all the time. And if you're defending him, you're just going to back. You want him to shoot threes. That's a tough kind of point guard to play.
yeah, I mean,
with.
he is a tough. Like, if you think about Pritchard, think about how many hoops Pritchard had to jump through to get to where he is now, and he's still right a backup. And Pritchard's a way better shooter than him and a better defender. So it is like JD has the things that he does really well. Like he's great in the pick and roll. Like he is a great playmaker, great at driving downhill. Like there's things that he does uniquely well, probably better than Pritchard in a sense too. But if you compare those two guys, like there are so many obvious ways that Pritchard would be better for you on the floor. And even he a year ago didn't have minutes in this team, right? So
No, yeah.
my thing
depth
is more
chart's
just like
the
why he's
biggest
not
reason.
around more, because Drew Peterson has been around a lot more. And so there's a conversation here. They're probably going to convert one of these guys.
Well, it's
That's
the
a
skill
guess.
set, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
Drew has
the
transferable
bottom
skill
line is
set.
he can't really shoot.
33% this season.
Yeah. And it's been, I mean, he's been 31, 32, 33 there in Maine. So it's
He's
just
improved, yeah.
Yeah, he's
That's why he
improved, but
went
it's still not
40s
there.
in
But
the draft, yeah.
JD's shooting 40%. That has value to you. Like he's
That
not
would be the one thing. Yeah.
he's not a
if
good
he was a
enough ball
40% shooter,
handler
I think
or
you're now
running the
seeing him.
offense. Yeah, that's the problem. I think JD's not a specialist. He's not a run the offense point guard where you could have him out there and he's just a distributor who can't shoot. He's not exceptional at that, nor is he an exceptional shooter. And I think not having that, I do think in that bench, you do need that one, if not elite, that one singular skill that you're like, I need this right now. And to come in and be like, even geez, I forgot his name. Your boy, who they got rid of, who played defense.
Romeo Langford.
Jaden Springer.
Yeah, Springer.
Springer,
Springer was
He was in
dynamic
front of him,
defensive
too.
player. He was in front of him, but he could play defense like hell on anybody at the highest level. You know, a guy like, you know, even Kada came in here. He could grab boards at a really high level. Peterson can shoot the ball. I think JD's lacking that elite.
JD's best
trait.
skill is handling the ball and passing, and there's like 10 guys in front of him.
And scoring in a bunch of
Celtics.
different ways. And the question
Scoring,
is still,
but
how does
against
that
that
translate?
competition, and how does it translate?
Right, how does it translate?
Yeah.
And I also think, and again, this is not something that someone has said to me, but I do think they see value in leaving him up there. Like, he is a little bit.
There's a great point.
I don't want to say this because it sounds like I know for sure, but I've gotten the feeling a little bit like he is benefiting the program so much by being up there that there's an incentive to keep him up there, keep giving him the 2 ways, leave him in Maine.
He's their structure.
And he has created an institution really that is unusual. If you watch G League basketball games, it's guys that are looking after themselves, trying to get points, trying to get signed, and it makes it really hard to play like functional basketball and actually have your young prospects go and develop. And it's not that Jordan Walsh and Amias Kada are like these like incredible success stories, because obviously they're not really playing much, but they did put them in that program and had JD run the show, and those guys graduated out and came back to Boston, and JD's still there kind of cranking this thing out. So there's a feeling that I get sometimes of like he really benefits them too. And so part of it is like, maybe we don't want to take him out of Maine because like they really want him up there and kind of running the show and everybody. And maybe he would benefit from more opportunities with Boston. But
for that reason, I wonder if they'll sign him just to give him.
But here's the thing: all the guys that you just went through and named have been with the Celtics, and in those 4 or 5 minutes, at some point, they've shown themselves to have a skill that is beneficial to the Celtics. JD doesn't do that. When he's out there, he's not doing anything at an exceptionally high enough level to where you can see if he gets more opportunities, he can build on that. He doesn't shoot the ball well. He does not have great court vision. Has good court vision, not great.
Yeah.
And I like JD as a player, but there's nothing about his game that just says this is a guy that is going to continue to get better as he gets more opportunities.
Yeah, that's the thing.
That's the problem. I think that's the problem for him. Personally, I think he needs to go somewhere else and get another shot with another franchise that will give him an opportunity.
And he probably will. That's the most likely thing that will happen after this.
But shooting and defense are the two things that probably can get you minutes. If you know some minutes up here, and not excelling at either of those two things, I think makes it challenging.
I mean, he's gotten a lot better in both of those categories, though. Like just looking from last year to this year, it's a substantial improvement in both categories. And so I think the question is, he's still just 21 years old.
Can he get? How much better can he get?
He would be playing March Madness right now if he didn't declare. And maybe I'm not really in the college world, but like he probably should have stayed a little bit longer. But the reality is that
like
I
4
think
years longer.
I mean, I don't know.
Some guys,
on the other hand, he's making like whatever he's making, and maybe he's grown a lot from this process too. So I don't know.
To Jimmy's point too, you can go overseas and become a legend, and that seems to be the kind of game he has.
Yeah.
Some guys don't like doing that. So I'm sure he's going to keep fighting to make the NBA. He did this to set himself up for that. And it doesn't feel like it's going to be here. And that's how it goes a lot of the time.
Kendrick Nunn used to play for the Miami Heat. I think is like the highest paid player in Europe now. And Kendrick
I think
Nunn
we're underselling.
Go ahead, Noah.
No, sorry. I was just going to say, I think we're a little bit underselling his point guard abilities. Like he's
a phenomenal player.
No, but like we're saying he's an okay court vision. He's a really good point guard. Like he's very good at making the right play at the right time. And
he has a Rondo skill set.
I think he's a little bit in the wrong era. Like he's one of those guys that would have been better off when spacing was like.
Think of what Rondo would have been.
We're saying some crazy things right now. Yeah.
Just the way he plays the game, John. Not
he's
how
next
good he
Rondo.
Is. I mean, seriously, what would Rondo be in today's NBA?
Teams would back off him and make him shoot.
Like OG Rondo that couldn't shoot at all.
Yeah,
teams started doing that back then even.
Look, Rondo late in his career did realize I do have
Yeah.
to do this, and he did it a little more. And I think he would have probably had to make that evolution quicker if he like stepped into today's NBA right now, or because it's sink or swim. But it is interesting to have people who really couldn't shoot at all be really, really effective. Where now you would struggle.
Well,
You got to get to that
shoot when it came playoff time. That was the thing.
or primetime games.
Yeah.
I will say JD was 7 of 10 from 3 last night in the playoffs. So
he's gone better.
Maybe it's the beginning of more.
Where's the next game? Where's the next playoff game?
Westchester, New York tomorrow night.
And you'll be there tomorrow.
Yep.
Were you really?
I knew it.
Yes. I covered the main Celtics. This is their playoff run. They need me there.
Indefatigable Noa Dalzell.
How far away is that?
Was just on
3 hours.
4 legs.
I landed back from
Memphis.
Memphis at like 3 o'clock, and then I went to Maine at like 4.
Please don't send me any
they're about
videos
to-
where like you and Justin are like awake for like 36 straight hours with Jack Simone
Have I sent you those videos before?
riding trains. No, like the Jack Simone video where he's like, and now
jumping
it's
in those
3
train
a.m. and
cars.
we're at the train station. I'm like, oh my god.
Oh, the
these
bus
poor
station.
kids.
That's why you
The
lost
bus
me. It was the
station,
bus
yeah.
station.
Yeah.
They're not even on the Amtrak. They're on one of those
Listen.
train carts where you just
Now we're taking the
Happy Riders
Fungwa
over there.
back, and I'm like,
Oh,
these
the
guys-
Fungwa.
That's the fun
Good
walk.
times. The Fungwa.
a bus
You wouldn't last.
doesn't
You wouldn't
exist
last an
anymore.
hour on the Fungwa. No.
I probably, you know what? I probably would last the whole ride because I have a pretty low threshold for these things.
Yeah, no, that's good.
If you've seen some of my travel this year, you'd be.
Yeah,
What
Bobby,
time you
are
leaving?
you going
5
too?
a.m.?
You're going, aren't you? Who's going to tell me about it? Someone's going to live tweet it.
Want to get me a flight?
These two were going tweet for tweet last
Yeah,
night.
Bobby, I
yeah,
want to
yeah,
get you a
Celtics
flight
game.
to Westchester. Yeah, let's do it. No,
Yeah,
follow
that's
Noah. Follow Noah for Maine updates tomorrow's Maine Celtics playoffs continue.
We'll go to the championship if they make it.
Yeah, okay, you'll go. You'll go.
Love it.
I'm just saying this. If you like basketball, they're a very fun team to watch.
Of course they
really
are.
play.
They
They're-
won by like 30
They are
last
much
night.
better than the sum of their parts, which is.
I
pretty
was
cool.
telling,
I always enjoy that. So
I was telling somebody here who's like, I want to go to games, but the Celtics are so expensive. I'm like, go see Maine, man. Like,
go see Maine. The vibes are
yeah,
great.
go see
I'm
Maine
80
for
minutes from
family
Maine.
stuff
It's so
or like
easy to get
taking the
up there.
kids. It's a great environment. So that's it. JD Davison wins the MVP.
That was a long JD Davison segment.
Yeah.
Cut it up,
Well,
Ahmed.
I
We
wanted
need
you
it.
to have it. I wanted
You
to
know
have
the
it.
way you set it
was
up, though,
enough
it kind of
for,
like
the rest of the
soured the
season.
whole thing.
Did it? I'm sorry.
There was a dark cloud hanging over me the entire segment.
I will say.
I made you play defense on it. I didn't.
Well, what's funny though, this is like not that interesting, but he did a post game presser with us last night after the game, and he had just found out he was MVP. And
he said nothing.
He didn't obviously. Yeah, he didn't mention it obviously because he wasn't allowed to. But I wish I had asked him about the MVP just so we could see how good of a liar he is.
I want
Because
to.
then today he was like, obviously he knew.
I want to say too. He's been here 3 years, which is crazy.
yeah.
And when he got here, he like wouldn't say a word. He was the shyest guy I've ever seen. And he's not Mr. Charisma now, but he's
He's pretty good though.
he's pretty good
yeah.
now, which is cool. Cool to see that progression from a guy like that.
When you think about it, it's like when you're 18 years old, like so many people are like that. You know,
Yeah.
it makes
Mhm.
sense.
Tatum was like that too. And look at his growth.
Yep. Headlines from tonight. Headlines from tonight. We'll start with this. JD Davison wins the G League MVP. Jaylen Brown says his knee is still hurting and he's seeing specialists. Jason Tatum goes 4 for 17, picks up a tech. He's 2 techs away from a suspension. And the
That'll be
Celtics
his rest
fall
night.
at home to the Miami Heat, dropping their home record to 24-13, which is just still so weird. We didn't talk about it. I just cannot understand it. I understand the coming back off a long road trip thing, even though, as Bobby said, it's in the vault of all time, excuses
They got the Heat's
here.
best shot tonight
But
too.
it makes sense. Them being this bad at home for the entire season does not make sense. Oh, they did get the Heat's best shot. Everyone's coming for us, because we're the champs.
They don't play like that against everybody else.
But again, they won 9 in a row. They just had a nearly perfect March. We're not going to sit here and piss and moan over a loss to the Heat. It doesn't
is
matter. The loss doesn't matter at all. The Jaylen Brown stuff matters. Could matter a lot. We'll see. But that's where we're at with it. Thank you guys for hanging out with us here on the Garden Report. We're back Friday. They're going to play Phoenix Suns without Kevin Durant and hopefully without Jaylen Brown. But we will see what happens there. We say goodnight to you all. Thanks, Sherrod. Thanks, Jimmy. And again, just to remind you what everybody does here, Noah covers everything for everybody. But you can catch her doing main stuff tomorrow, Celtics stuff for Celtics blog, WNBA for SB Nation, and Celtics stuff, Boston Celtics stuff also for CLNS. Bobby Manning catches stuff at CLNS Media. Sherrod Blakely's got his own Substack and the Big Three podcast. And Jimmy Toscano.
What about me?
Jimmy John
Does his stuff.
podcast.
Do me now.
Why don't you plug a show?
Oh, no, and you got Boston.
And
We
you
got that
Boston.
too. We left out. I didn't get through all of Noah's resume. But yeah, what do you want us to plug?
I've got some
Jimmy had a
shows.
show.
There's some
Jimmy
gigs
show,
coming
yeah.
up, Jimmy.
I've
What
got
you
He
some
used to
gigs
plug
coming
shows
up.
and then he stopped
Plug
one
the
day.
shows. Yeah.
I've got some shows at Pier 6 coming up this summer on Wednesday nights, Wednesday evening, sunset gigs.
That's
Every
Pier 6.
Wednesday?
Every other Wednesday at Pier 6 in Charlestown, right in the Navy Yard. You can watch the
Beginning when?
sunset.
Do you do autographs?
I will do autographs during my break, not during the songs, please. It's happened before.
And if you introduce yourself to Jimmy and you say you're a fan of the Garden Report, he will remember your name and he will mention it here.
Exactly. I won't pull a Bobby. I won't forget it. I won't want to do a name drop second and then forget the name.
Wait, do you sing or do you just do instruments?
Jimmy
Noah.
sings.
He's a singer.
No, why don't you come to a show and you can find out?
I'm asking about the show.
He's like
I'll
Ed,
find out.
he's like freaking Ed Sheeran. He's amazing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he does it all.
John
So
knows
at
'cause he's
some
been to
point-
all
Why
of
don't
them.
we
I go
why
to
don't we
all the
have him be part
shows.
of like the outro? It's like a Jimmy song.
Well, I want to say this. At some point, once the Celtics playoffs start, if there's any Wednesday games, it's a very quick walk from Pier 6 to the TD Garden. So you can do a little pregame at Pier 6, walk over to the game just in time for tip-off. It's like the best of both worlds.
Sounds good.
I'm there, Jimmy.
John's
I've been to
definitely
the most
there.
shows for the record.
We'll see you guys on Friday. Thank you guys for hanging out with us on the Garden Report. Good night. No one's sneaking a vegan brownie by me, I'll tell you that.
Okay, you know what, John? We're gonna do it.
You have to feel that way too, Bobby.
I have
Say
to
it.
feel
You
that
said
way.
it.
Let's fly out over and make Luke your first center.
Bobby, we gave you Luke hour early. We are not going to end this on a damn conversation about Luke